I'm Joe Lampell. When I created Growing a Greener World, I had one goal: to tell stories of everyday people, innovators, entrepreneurs, forward-thinking leaders who are all, in ways both big and small, dedicated to organic gardening and farming, lightening our footprint, conserving vital resources, protecting natural habitats, making a tangible difference for us all. They're real, they're passionate, they're all around us. They're the game changers who are literally growing a greener world and inspiring the rest of us to do the same. Growing a Greener World, it's more than a movement, it's our mission. Think back to when you were a kid. Were you told that you could be anything you wanted to be when you grow up? I sure was. And for most boys and girls, at least during my day, there was no shortage of future astronauts or firefighters or veterinarians. But for most people, there comes a moment where some other calling finds them, seemingly at random. For me, it happened when I was 8. I was playing outside and accidentally broke a branch off a treasured and off-limits plant in my yard. Well, I got scared and I jammed that branch into the ground in the hopes that no one would notice and I wouldn't get in trouble. Much to my surprise, that broken branch took root and grew, and my lifelong fascination with plants was born. So, in a world of wannabe pop stars and pro athletes, where does the next generation of farmers and botanists and horticulturalists come from? Well, just like everything else in the garden, they're grown. And for all the professionals who spend their lives with their hands in the dirt, tomorrow's gardeners are the most important crop of them all.
This generation deserves to grow up being better land stewards than every generation prior. Gardening when you're a kid will lead you to be a better land steward as an adult. I'm living proof.
Bree Arthur is a gardening rock star. In addition to being a regular correspondent on Growing a Greener World, she's also an award-winning horticulturist, recognized expert in plant propagation, and the best-selling author of The Foodscape Revolution. It's an impressive gardening resume, and one she started building very early.
I was lucky enough to be introduced to horticulture the traditional way through my grandparents and parents, but also through 4-H. I grew up in southeastern Michigan, and 4-H was a really important part of my childhood. And it was because of the hardworking and very dedicated extension agents that influenced me to even learn that horticulture was something that existed, that I knew that I could go to college and study this and have a career in this. And so I've always believed that my childhood experiences are what set me up to be where I am now. And I think the same is true, that I can extend that forward and engage kids so that they'll understand when they grow up that growing plants is important.
And while presentations and talks at various schools allowed Bree to introduce glimpses of gardening here and there to children all over the country, her desire to be a hands-on teacher to young gardeners was about to hit home in a whole new way.
I'm so lucky to have Aiden and Abby living next to me. They moved in, 6 years ago. I saw Aiden outside and I said, "Hey, what's your favorite thing to eat?" And he declared that it was French fries. And actually, to this day, it's still French fries. And I was just about to plant potatoes. So I invited him over to help me plant these potatoes so that he could understand where French fries came from. And at that time, he was playing a video game that had a mattock or a pickaxe in it. And so when I gave him that tool to use in real life, he was really excited. He dug a trench along a 60-foot long border. It was 15 to 18 inches deep. He did it in no time, right? Because he had his favorite tool that he had only used virtually until this moment. And then we went along, and every 8 to 12 inches, we put a little piece of potato that had started sprouting on the countertop in the kitchen. So every Saturday, he would come and he would check that 60-foot long property border, and when they started to sprout, it was a really exciting day. And I was explaining to him how, you know, when plants become mature, they start to die back from the tips. And one day, hot day, like right now, early July or early June, he came over and he said, "Miss Bree, the potato foliage is senescing. It's time to harvest the potatoes." I had to pay $30,000 and go to college to learn what the word senesce meant. So the fact that he picked this up just out of like me randomly talking was so remarkable. And we went out that day and we harvested 80 pounds of potatoes from that 60-foot long border.
What started as a couple of kids doing a gardening project with a neighbor lady has turned into a unique relationship, with all three very dedicated to pushing each other to always learn more and try more in their shared suburban foodscape.
For me, I was so excited that Aiden and Abby kept coming over. And on Saturday mornings, we would turn on bossa nova music really loud so they would know that it was time to come over and start gardening. And I felt like the Pied Piper, because when bossa nova came out, the children just came over and then it was time to get the day started. And what was so amazing is the observations that they would make. Like one time, we were all standing out here in the front yard, and in that bed right behind me, Abby said, "Why are the tulips shaking?" And in 15 minutes, the voles had come in and they ate 500 tulip bulbs. And it was that moment that inspired us to start really coming up with better solutions for dealing with voles. And that was when Aiden was like, "Well, they don't seem to be eating the beds that have garlic planted." And a light bulb went off, and that's why we've started planting garlic all over the edges of our landscapes, because that is a really practical way to keep the voles from eating. But I wouldn't have even noticed the voles if Abby hadn't said, "What's happened to these tulips? They're shaking." The observations that kids make are so amazing. I only speak botanical Latin, so if you visit me, you're gonna learn Latin. For Aiden and Abby, they've only known the botanical name of plants. And I try to teach them that, you know, the botanical name will actually give you some indication of how it's grown or where it's from or the purpose that that plant provides, because it's all in the etymology of the Latin. And I think there's just so many opportunities to use the garden as a teaching tool. So from simple exercises, just reading the label on a fertilizer bottle, to Aiden getting really involved in the hydroponics systems and understanding which nutrient solutions need to be added when a plant has purple foliage and recognizing that as a magnesium deficiency. These are all things that you can actively teach in this living laboratory that is your home landscape. Everybody should be doing this because we can all learn a chemistry lesson or two, no matter how old you are.
So here we are in the gardener's foodscape garden, and it is lush and beautiful. Congratulations. You have so many beautiful plants in here. I see broccoli. Are you broccoli fans?
Yes.
Fantastic. Good. That's really good for you. I love broccoli. And this is crimson clover?
Yes.
Now, I know why this is here, but you tell me why this is here.
That's to add nutrients to the ground.
Very smart. Nitrogen. It fixes nitrogen in the soil. That's great. And then what's this right here? Who knows what that is? You know, right?
It's buckwheat.
Buckwheat.
So then we don't have to add BT, and it also attracts good insects.
Yeah, exactly. That is so impressive. I'm proud of you for that. In the stay-at-home environment of 2020, Aiden, Abby, and Bree took their garden learnings beyond the borders of the front yard and into their larger community.
COVID has had a massive influence on our society in general, but especially with kids who are no longer going to school. And you know, within the first week of school basically being paused, Aiden and Abby said, "Miss Bree, let's start installing foodscapes around the neighborhood. Let's get to know the people that are all living here. You know, let's teach them what we've been doing." And it was exactly the push that I needed, because having my schedule abruptly change was very depressing, and it was just the greatest motivation to have 13 and 10-year-old tell me, "Hey, let's take advantage of this opportunity. We're all home. Let's create a better sense of community, and let's teach everybody where food comes from. Oh my God. Wait, Abby, hold that up to your head. It's the size of your face. Ta-da! And you've got 2 more that you can harvest as needed.
I know, this is wonderful.
And then look at that most gorgeous
That is the
thing
prettiest
in the
cauliflower
world.
I've ever seen. It's just so vibrant and beautiful.
I feel like people go to a farmer's market and pay $10 for a head of cauliflower that looks like that.
Well, what's your next big project?
We're going to another neighbor's house and doing another foodscape.
So you got another one to do? So that's your 4th in this neighborhood?
Yes.
Very impressive. I'm proud of you. Good job. Way to go, Aiden. Whether it's a fully fenced-in plot or a few herbs and veggies in containers on the porch, a home garden is a great way for kids to get exposure to growing food. But as every parent knows, sometimes the lessons hit a little differently when it comes from someone other than mom and dad. That's certainly part of what makes Bree's relationship with Aiden and Abby work in their neighborhood setting. But over 10 seasons on Growing a Greener World, we've also visited some amazing schools in every corner of the U.S. that are making gardening and growing food crops an integral part of the formal curriculum, and encouraging both students and teachers to shine outside the classroom. The Ford School in Ackworth, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta, launched over 17 years ago with only $200 and a single gardening bed. The gardens today cover almost 20 acres and include several wildlife habitats, nature trails, pollinator gardens, and edible landscapes. Their extensive science and environmental program teaches nearly 700 students and involves their parents in the process so that many generations learn environmental life lessons. Currently, every class, from music to math, spends at least some time outdoors, and they extend those lessons to include a service and outreach component that includes the community around them. So here at the school, the teachers and the volunteers spend so much time making sure they fully integrate all the various age groups with the curriculum around all these gardens scattered around the school. Now the first graders, they're learning about the different parts of the plant, so they'll plant these beds out starting with seeds. The second graders are learning about the various stages of wildlife, like the birds and the butterflies. And because so many of these plants are natives, it does a great job of attracting the honeybees. And the honeybees are really important at boosting the production of the vegetables, which are very important for the math and the nutrition class. So you see how all this works together. But the beauty of it is all the students get to spend time in this amazing environment in these outdoor classrooms, and it doesn't take very long to realize just how much all the students love learning outside. How's it going, everybody?
Good.
Good. What are you planting?
Cabbage.
Perfect. Nice soil. Very good. Started in 1991 as the brainchild of local chef and restaurateur Alice Waters, the Edible Schoolyard at Berkeley, California's Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School had simple goals: to get the children outdoors where they could study core lessons and in the process learn about fresh food and nutrition. But as the program took off, this 1-acre garden classroom and its adjoining kitchen classroom far exceeded expectations.
What we're doing right now is we're working with the biology of a flower. In the 7th grade, we're connecting to what they're learning about botany, structure, and function in the classroom out here by looking at flowers in the spring garden very closely. So each student is going out into the garden, collecting a flower of their choice, and then bringing it back, drawing it, labeling the different parts that they can identify, and then actually dissecting it, opening it up, finding the teeny tiny ovulae that will become the fertile seeds, and really taking botany to the next level. And it really comes alive for them. And from my own experience in this type of education growing up, I know that this is what really sticks, and these kids will remember it forever.
Oh, good. What kind of flower is that? Good.
The orange
California pop.
That's a California native.
Students accompany their humanities teacher to the Edible Schoolyard kitchen, where they experience culture, history, language, ecology, and math through the preparation of food. Students cook together with freshly harvested produce from the garden and eat a freshly prepared dish, sharing the fruits of their labor around a communal table.
Children at this age are really into socialization, and they don't necessarily expand outside their little group of comfort. And when they come to the garden and they come to the kitchen, they need to work alongside other students who they wouldn't necessarily hang out with on the playground or go home with after school. They learn that in order to accomplish tasks, they have to work as a team, and they really get to know each other in kind of an intimate way. Everything that we prepare in the kitchen is grown in the garden, and we teach them about how to prepare and eat. The most important thing is they get to eat it, the food that they grow. And we've learned, it's almost a cliche around here, but we've learned that if they grow it, they care for it, they prepare it, they'll eat it.
I sometimes take a recipe or two home and try it with my family. One thing I love to make is fruit salad.
And like when we go and pick some stuff for kitchen, it's like different stuff. And when it comes from the garden, it really tastes good.
So I'm really into making food.
You really into making food?
Yeah.
Do you love coming to this class and learning new things every day?
It like opens up a whole new world.
In the heart of New York City, there's a public school with a very unusual story. The parents and educators of the Manhattan School for Children wanted to provide their students with an environmental perspective around the concerns of growing up in a big city. And they felt that providing a science-based, hands-on experience around sustainability and conservation would help them make better environmental choices in the future. And they felt the best way to do that was with a science lab that connected their city kids with nature. A pretty tall order. Here within a 1,400 square foot greenhouse, the students use hydroponics, growing food without soil, and aquaponics, growing food in a closed system with fish, as well as other urban agricultural principles to learn all their core subjects.
But it's not really about the plants or about growing lettuces and tomatoes. This is really about the science behind it. It's about major concepts that connect to what is sustainability. The students come here and learn, yes, to use the systems, but through the lens of urban farming, they are really learning about food production, but also about pollution, contamination, conservation, biodiversity, and of course all connects to climate change, which is the major problem they will have to be fixing in the future.
And every grade across all of the elementary looks at a certain system, they look at certain cycles, and they learn all about the greenhouse, all about the tools that we use, and how that relates to the greenhouse and to the rest of the world.
I like coming up here because like you do a lot of things. Like sometimes we go in our classroom, but we're not like with the plants and stuff. When you're in the greenhouse, you just like with the plants and helping them out.
Make sure you write aquaponics.
I love being up here because we learn about science and plants, which I think is really interesting and fun. I work in the aquaponics tank, and the aquaponics tank is just like a fish tank, but on the top there are plants, and the plants put nutrients in the water for the fish, but then in the fish reproduce the water for the plants, and it keeps going on and on and on. It's kind of like a cycle. I like it. I like working in the aquaponics tank because there's so many jobs you can do involving the fish and the plants that it's just really fun.
We've talked to lots of kids over the years, and the word we hear used most often when it comes to learning how to garden is fun. Gardening is fun. It's why so many adults do it as a hobby. But harnessing a child's limitless energy and imagination to show them how fun and functional gardening is while they're still growing and developing their sense of self and the world around them, that makes an impression that lasts a lifetime. And sometimes, in the process, It's the students who provide the teacher with a powerful lesson.
Gardening with greens is obviously a passion of mine, but I would have never followed through that first season to actually harvest the seed if it weren't for the interest that Aiden and Abby expressed. And I remember them saying, "But you grew it, we have to harvest it." And I was like, "But I don't know how to harvest wheat. I don't have a combine. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what threshing is. You know, I'm a lady in the suburbs of Raleigh, right?" And so Aiden was determined, and he helped engineer the system that we have now created. Thanks to the interest of Aiden and Abby, we now take the grains that we grow and we go full circle, yard to table. So we hand harvest all these grains, and then we leave the stalks in place because Aiden and Abby take turns mowing those down, which adds organic matter, improving our soil naturally. Once we've harvested all the seed heads, we put them into a big bucket, and with a modified drill bit, they get beaten up. That's the threshing process. Once they've been appropriately threshed, we winnow using a box fan. And all winnowing is blowing away the chaff so that what you're left with is raw seed. Once you have raw seed, you can then grind that down into flour and bake bread.
So you like gardening a lot, and probably it
Yes.
doesn't hurt that you're doing it with like the best gardener ever, Miss Bree. But if you're trying to get your friends to like gardening too, how would you make that happen? What would you say?
I would say, what's like your favorite food and like what do you want to grow in your garden? And then get the seed and put it, and then they can harvest it from their own house.
And you think that'll hook them, right?
Mm-hmm.
That story sounds familiar. Isn't that what Miss Bree said to you?
Mm-hmm.
And look at you today. You've been gardening all this time. That's a great idea.
And I think everybody has the opportunity to introduce kids to the joy of gardening because there's so many facets of it that will offer them wonder and joy and excitement and then relevant information. I think there's also a level of confidence that every child deserves to have when they've grown something and they get to harvest it. You know, whether that's a vegetable or a flower or, you know, a peach pit that germinates, you know, in a container. Suddenly you feel like, wow, I've done something, I've made something come to life. And there is an unexplainable level of confidence that you get from having that experience. It actually starts from a seed in the soil, and you have to cultivate that land and improve our land stewardship so that we will have a generation that respects our environment more. Gardening teaches all of that. It's an endless array of opportunities.
You know, whether it's the Edible Schoolyard in Berkeley or the Ford School in Ackworth or the heart of Manhattan or Bree's front yard garden in Raleigh or my garden at the garden farm with my own daughter Amy. Every time we get around a group of kids and watch them get their hands in the dirt, I see that spark. And it's the same spark I had the moment I stuck that broken branch into the ground and it took root and grew. Gardening really is magic, and there's no one that believes in magic quite like that of a child. And gardening with kids always reminds me of that. And I hope that today we inspired you in your calling to the earth to share that with someone special in your life that's a young person too. And if you'd like to learn more about what you saw today, we'll have that information on our website under the show notes for this episode. And the website address, that's the same as our show name. It's growingagreenerworld.com. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Joe Lampell, and we'll see you back here next time for more Growing a Greener World.